Good morning, children. This is English video session for class 10. Today is 7th January 2021, and the book which we are going to do is The First Flight, topic number 10, The Sermon at Benares. Yesterday in the English class, we discussed about the term sermon which has been used in various places. Also, we saw we were all how the word is associated once the word is said, how we come to know that we what all things that come to our mind, a mount, a person in a saffron robe or a white robe, or sitting in the mountain. All these things we discussed. Also, we dealt about Gautama Buddha, whose name is also called Siddhartha Gautama, who lived in the northern part of the India, and about his life, where he had his schooling, about his wedding, marriage, and how he left the royalty, the life of royalty, and the things which he saw, the four things which he saw when he was out for hunting. Do you remember, children, the four things which we discussed? It was one, the sick man, next, the aged man, the third one was a funeral procession, and finally he witnessed a monk, okay, and begging for alms. These were the four things, and they moved him a lot in his mind, and he left the royalty, life of royalty, and he went out into the world. And what did he want for? He wanted enlightenment, okay, high spiritual knowledge. He was searching for a high spiritual knowledge of what is all these things, why it's happening. Too many questions came into, and he wanted answer for all the sufferings. That's what enlightenment means. Finally, he was wandering for 7 years, and under when a people tree, when he was sitting under a people tree, he got his enlightenment. These are the things which we saw yesterday. Shall we continue from where we stopped? Yes. I also asked you to read aloud the entire text, because to in this online classes I am unable to conduct this oral test, oral the spoken everything. So how much your written examinations are important, I will definitely say that your spoken and your vocabulary is equally important. So you need to read at least 4 to 5 pages loudly, not like in your mind, like a story, not like how you're reading a newspaper. Whatever you read it aloud with your voice delivered properly, appropriately, with the right pronunciation. Okay, now enlightenment. Now I'm going to the page number 134. I'm continuing with the same topic. Yes, we saw enlightenment after 7 days, is it not? Yes, let's get continue with this. Enlightenment after 7 years, he renamed the tree Bodhi tree. Bodhi tree is the tree of wisdom, tree of wisdom, and began to teach and to share his new understanding. At that point, he became known as Buddha, the awakened or the enlightened. Okay, so what is the meaning of Buddha? Is the awakened or the enlightened? The one who was able to understand the misery, what the reason for the misery or everything. He was able to understand everything. The Buddha preached his first sermon in the city of Benares. So where did he go? He went to the city of Benares, most holy of the dipping places of the river Ganges. That sermon has been preserved and is given here. So, what was the sermon? We don't know. So, let's see what this sermon was. And preserved and is given. Buddha's wisdom is one inscrutable kind of suffering, something which cannot be understood. Suffering, let us consider this word suffering. Okay, what does Buddha vision on those suffering? What did the enlightenment teach him? What is grief taught him? What are the different ways in which it can be seen or approved or approached about it? Let us get into it. Okay. Now look at the words that are on the side. Sermon, again we are seeing any moral talk on any moral talk, anything which goes deep into the understanding. Dipping places means bath. You know very well. Ganges, one of the holy places of the Hindus. What do? They go and have a dip in the water. Okay. Inscrutable means what? Something which cannot be understood. For everybody, these sufferings are only a question mark. How could he give such a wonderful understanding about suffering? Why people suffer? What are the things that are to be taken? Let us see. Goswami had Kisa Gotami had an only son and he died. In her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine. And the people said, she had lost her senses, the boy is dead. At length, Kisa Gotami met a man who replied to her request, I cannot give you medicines for their child, but I know a physician who can. Okay. And the girl said, pray tell me, sir, who is it? And the man told, go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha. This is how the woman carried the child, the dead child, to Sakyamuni, the Buddha. Let us see how the real enlightenment worked. Kisa Gotami repaired to the Buddha and cried, Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy. The Buddha answered, we want a handful of mustard seed. And when the girl in her joy promised to procure it, and Buddha added, the mustard seed must be taken from the house where no one has lost a child, no one has lost a husband, parent, or a friend. Oh my God, look at the demand. He just asked for one handful of mustard seed. And the woman was so happy because to get a handful of mustard seed, and here is going to be my dead son, going to get back his life. She knew no boundaries of happiness. Okay. Then she goes and says, but there is a clause there. This mustard seed must be procured from the house who had not lost a child, a husband, a parent, or a friend, or anybody. There should be nobody who had died in that house. Okay, possible. What do you think is the answer, children? Yes, let's see. Poor Kisa Gotami now went from house to house. And the people pitied her and said, here the mustard seed, take it. But when she asked, did a son or a daughter or a father or a mother die in your family? They answered, alas, the living are few and the dead are many. Look at the answer. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. Don't again tell us about our grief again and again. And there was no worse but someone beloved. One had died in it. She goes to house, asking for a mustard seed, handful of mustard seed. Everyone gave. But when she asked the question, pray tell whether anybody had died, whether it is a husband or a wife or a daughter or a baby or anybody, a father or mother or friend, they only say, oh, please, definitely. And don't remind us. The people who are living are less and who have died are more. The living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us. What is it ailing? What are they saying? Do not remind us of our deepest grief. Just somehow we have forgotten that grief. Don't remind us of our grief. And there was no house, but someone had loved has died in it. Kesagotami became weary and hopeless and sat down at a wayside, watching the lights of the city as they flickered up and were extinguished again. So the whole day she is going about to find out if there could be some house. And she considered. At last the darkness of the night reigned everywhere. And she considered the fate of men, that their lives flicker up and are extinguished again. And she thought to herself, how selfish am I in my grief? Death is common to all. Yet in this valley of desolation, there is a path that leads him to immortality who had surrendered all selfishness. So beautiful way of thought. I had been so selfish that I only have grief. Here is the message that death is common to all. Yet it is the valley of desolation. In this valley of desolation means loneliness. In the valley of desolation, in the valley of loneliness, singleness, there is a path, there is a one way that leads us to immortality. Immortality, endless. If for the who surrendered all selfishness, if we are going to give up all the things that selfishness, all these things, if we are going to do, give up, then we are reaching the immortality. The individual is leading to immortality. The Buddha said, the life of mortals in this world is troubled with brief, troubled and brief, and combined with pain. For there is not even there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. After reaching old age, there is death of such a natural or living beings. As ripe fruits are early in the danger of falling, so mortals, when they are born, always in danger of death. As all earthen vessels made of potter end in being broken up, so is the life of mortals, both young, young as well as adult. But those who are fools, or those who are wise, but those who are fools and those who are wise all fall into the power of death. All are subjected to death. Beautiful, is it not, children? Whoever is born, if there is a fruit, it has to, after it is ripened, it will fall down. If there is a pot made of by the potter, indeed it is prone to be broken. That is the same way of the mortals. Mortals, human beings. some dying young, some dying old. Anybody, the foolish man, the wise man, the politician, the doctor, anybody under the beggar, everybody has to fall into the power of death. All are subject to death. There is no one who can escape this death. Such a lovely, thought provoking words. Of those who overcome by death, depart from life, a father cannot save his son, nor kinsman their relation. Mark, while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one, mortals are carried off like an ox that is led to the slaughter. So the world is afflicted with death, decay, and therefore the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world. So beautifully said. See what he is saying. Of those who overcome death, depart from life. A father is not able to save his dying son. His relation is dying, he cannot save it. The relatives are looking, they are lamenting, they are crying, they are wailing, they are expressing their sadness, anguish. But what is happening? One by one, mortals are carried off. Okay, one by one, we have to go. How? Like an ox. How? Like an ox that is led to the slaughter. Okay. So, what is this world? This world is afflicted with death and decay. Definitely, it is full of afflicted means what? Affected by sufferings of these two. Everybody is prone to get affected by this. Afflicted, affected by suffering of disease and pain. Okay. Therefore, the world is afflicted with death and decay. Therefore, the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world. The one is wise here is not that wise. This wise is the one who is so well knowledgeable, who is very well knowing the terms of the world, that it is only the death and the decay which is permanent. Understood, children? Yes. Okay. Now I would like you all to read this till this and come for the next class tomorrow. I would like you to speak those words aloud spoken by Gautama Buddha. Okay? So this is going to be a very, very exam point of view, personal point of view. This topic knows no boundaries on its excellence of meaning it offers. Very difficult to take the truth expressed by the topic, but in reality, they are the ultimate truth. Ultimate truth that we are not able to take the pain of the loss. The pain of the loss blinds us. It is making us blind that we are not able to think about the reality when it just struck the door of us. Okay, I want you all to read it again. At least I want you to remember these words, especially as ripe fruits are early in the danger of falling. Mortals who are when born are always in the death of danger of death. Earthenware vessels earthen vessels made by the potter is going to be broken only. So also is the life of mortals. Young adults, fools, wise, all fall in the power of death. Clear, children? All are subjected to death. Please read and come, children. Again, tomorrow I will see you. Okay? Thank you, children.